everyone. Welcome to Foreigner Farming in the Philippines. I had wanted to make this video last Friday, actually. This is in response to a live stream that GD Meade and Gary and Mitch did. This was the Mitch All Guns Blazing video live stream that they put up. It was more like Blazing Saddles than it was All Guns Blazing, but that's neither here nor there. Today's Monday. It's taken me all this time to make this video because, unlike the people who did the live stream, I actually have a life and I have things to do. But nevertheless, it was just so hilarious that I thought I'd share it with you. And so I'm not trying to hide any. I'm actually encouraging people to go watch this video. It's GD Meade's channel of Foreigner Telling the Truth, and it's the live stream All Guns Mitch All Guns Blazing or something like that. Anyway, it's like a 2-hour comedy fest, and I invite you guys to go watch it. It's actually pretty funny. I had some serious giggles when I was watching it, and for those of you who haven't seen it, go watch it. And for those of you who are not just totally not interested in this kind of drama, then just don't watch. But if you want a good laugh, it's asking a lot to take 2 hours of your life. But just think of it as a good 2-hour comedy. I mean, it's full of goodies. I got to tell you, Mitch. What can I say? I mean, he gets into the video, and I think Mitch has been watching too many C-grade Romanian spy movies on Romania's version of Netflix. I mean, it's just out there. There's spies, and he was poisoned, and his pigs were poisoned, and Terrence and I are the kings of Bohol. I mean, it's hilarious. Now, I may make an additional video. It depends on how long this one is, because I don't script any of this. I just talk. I really don't want this to go over 20-25 minutes. So if it's too long, then I'll make a separate video. I'm going to, just so everyone has a clear idea of Mitch and I's communication, I'm going to read out our messenger conversation, word for word, and that can be kind of fun too. So what the first thing that really struck me, I don't know how much. I don't know how many of you are avid churchgoers, but when I was young, like up until I was 16, 17 years old, I went to church every Sunday, and then less and less and less as time went on. But one thing my mom insisted on was that we all went to church, and in every church and it wasn't just one church, it was, I don't know, probably from us moving and changing churches, maybe a dozen churches. No, not that many. There's 7 or 8 maybe in that time frame. And in every one of those churches, there was at least one example of a little old lady like this. And sometimes there were 3 or 4. They never sat in the front row. They were always a row or 2 back, because they could sit and be a little bit unladylike in their posture, let's say. And they were elderly, usually a widow, a bit hefty, always wore a hat to church. Their dresses were always a little bit too tight, and they wore 9 times too much perfume. But they were devout Christians, and You know, whenever there was a bake sale, they were in charge of it. Whenever there was a fundraising drive, they were involved. They went to church on Sunday, Bible study on Wednesday, adult fellowship on Thursday or Friday. I mean, they were into it. But whenever the preacher was preaching, they would, if you watched them, every 10th word that the pastor said, they would go like that, or they just shake their head like this, or like this, or you know, it was just it was just something that I remember from my youth of growing up in church. And if you watch GD Me, that was the first thing that got me to giggling, was you know, it was just it just struck me as funny. But anyway, Gary's sitting in the middle there being Gary. I could never figure out who he's looking at. You know, is you looking at me? No, he's looking at him. But anyway, you know, it was adamantly denied that Mitch had any involvement with a gun. When I stated in a previous video that he'd shot up a bunch of his neighbor's dogs. And well, of course now, well, you know, maybe there was a gun. I mean, you know, it's just that, you know, say you're a foreigner and you have an illegal, unregistered firearm, and you wake up in the morning, what am I going to do today? Maybe I'll go to the beach. No. Maybe I'll go shopping. No. And maybe I'll hang out with my girlfriend or my wife and we'll spend the day together. That'll be fun. No, we can't do that. I know what I'll do. I'll just go down to the police chief and hand over my pistol, just for kicks and giggles, and see what happens. Well, why did you go down to the chief of police in the first place, Mitch? It's because one of your neighbors had dropped a dime on you for shooting their dogs. And it's just the comedy of the whole thing. I mean, in one breath he's denying having a gun. In another breath, well, if I knew about the gun, why didn't I report him? And in another breath, he was in the Army and was really good on the shooting range. And I just meant to scare him, but it was an accident, and oh well, I shot 3 of them. It's just Mitch. Just the whole video is just a comedy fest. You know, the first Terrence and Beth had Anna, or no, Marie was introduced to him so that they could spy on Mitch for Terrence and Beth. Okay. And then someone, he doesn't know who, was poisoning him. Slowly. Okay. And then, because his pigs were dying 1, 2, or 3 every day, someone was poisoning his pigs too. Probably didn't have anything to do with the fact that they had no wallow, no muddy place to cool off during the day, no shade. Now someone has said, well, they had the shade from their barn. Well, I've been there to his farm, and they do have shade from that barn up until about 9 o'clock in the morning. And then from 9 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening, there is no shade. And for those of you who don't know, pigs can't sweat. And it's hot in the Philippines, especially in the direct sun. And no place to cool off, and they can't sweat. Funny. 2 or 3 of his pigs are dying every day. Idiot. That's just the whole thing with Mitch. He was just clueless from day one. And any advice offered was, I know what I'm doing. when he was just as clueless. Chickens might as well have been raising those pigs, because they would have had more sense at doing it than Mitch did. His barn design was a laughable joke, and even when I tactfully, gently tried to point out some things that were wrong with the barn, like the 18-inch high walls won't work, and one drain over in the corner is fine, which he only did in half the pens, by the way, but combining the feed and water troughs together with no drains on those, so that it's just a putrid mess after a little while, is another problem. And making the floors out of large rocks that you've just poured some slurry over is another problem with 300 or 400 pound animals walking on it with small feet. Just the whole thing was, I mean, he's taken all these videos down now, but a video of him using his pressure washer to spray down those pigs, their pens, when the filth in them was this deep, dried, packed. It took him days to get those pens cleaned out, and he didn't move the pigs out. He just goes in with a pressure washer, a gas-powered pressure washer, which is noisy, and the pigs are still in there. They're terrified because of the noise and the spray, and he doesn't care. He's just in there hosing everything down. Clueless. Absolutely 100% clueless, Mitch. The whole premise that someone was doing this to him rather than him doing it to himself seems to be lost on everyone. Mitch has taken all the videos down, but he said in previous videos that he was a country boy and or a city boy, and he had no idea. He'd never raised any animals. He'd never done any of this kind of thing, and yet he wants to be the biggest pig producer and the biggest chicken producer, and he wants to have the biggest ponds. It's just, you know, there is some validity in go large or go home, but when you have absolutely no idea what you're doing, it might be a little bit better to go small first until you kind of figure it out. I'm going to get to the rest of this. I mean, just watch the video, guys. It's hilarious. And I don't know, my phone's charged. Maybe I'll get to it. I'm going to read off our conversation. But I want to get to the fish, which kind of ended up, I mean, a certain genius that will go unnamed is on the hunt for 45 tons of fish that I guess I stole, and somebody at the municipality is going to find out where 45 tons of fish went, because it's easy to find out if that many fish have been sold. Well, let's just do a little bit of math. And this is another thing. Mitch was going to raise all these tilapia, but had absolutely zero clue on how to do it. He was under the impression he could put in a bunch of fry and throw him a sack of feed every now and then, and voila, in 5 months he'd have 45 tons of fish. But what Mitch didn't realize is that when you're raising tilapia in a pond or a tank, the feed conversion for tilapia, depending on their stage in growth and the kind of tilapia they are, can vary between like 1.5 to 2.5 or 3 even. So what that means is that for every 2 pounds or 2 kilos of feed, for every 2 that you feed them, you get 1 of fish. So you feed a fish 2 pounds or 2 kilos of feed, and you get 1 pound or 1 kilo of fish. It's just to make it easy. Mitch wasn't set up, his ponds weren't set up to get that kind of feed conversion, but we'll throw him a bone just because it's easy math, and we'll just call it a feed conversion of 2 to 1. So Mitch was under the impression that he had 45 tons of fish in those ponds. Now he left in like November, I think, of 2018, 19, I don't remember. November is the important date. And I became involved in like June or July of the next year. So 8 months later. Now the growth cycle to market weight on tilapia, 4, 5, 6 months. Okay? So this was 9 months later. 9 months later. Where if the fish had been properly fed, they should be 600, 700, 800 grams. Big fish. And Mitch and Mr. Mead also went to great length that Mitch has all these receipts for the feed that he had sent, and he actually did send me receipts for money that he had sent the caretaker to take care of all this in his absence. And I did show those receipts to the P&P when I asked them to accompany me to try to get rid of the caretaker. But anyway, those receipts totaled a little over 200,000. I can't remember. It was right around 200,000 pesos. Okay. So keep that number in your head. 200,000 pesos in like an 8 or 9 month period. Okay. 200,000 pesos. Let's just say that every peso that Mitch sent would be spent on tilapia feed. Nothing for the caretaker's salary, nothing for the pig's feed. It all went to the tilapia. Probably less than 10 or 15% that he did send actually did go to the tilapia, but just for reference for how goofy Mitch is and how goofy anyone else is for believing anything he says is, let's just use this example. So 200,000 pesos is about 4,000 US dollars. 200,000 pesos of feed, let's just say, okay? Now, I might have to actually get my calculator out. I want to be kind of close on these. So a sack of tilapia feed, buying it retail, is about 850 pesos, and that's for 25 kilos. So just say 51 pounds. All right. So 4,000 US dollars, which is 200,000 pesos. So 200,000 divided by 850, because it's 850 per sack. Is 235 sacks of fish food, okay? And you multiply that by 25 kilos times 25 is 5,882 kilos of feed. All right. So it's a 2 to 1 feed conversion. So you divide that by 2, and you get 2,941 kilos of fish. That's the absolute maximum amount of fish that could have been in those ponds. The absolute maximum is right around 3,000 kilos, which is about 3 tons. That's quite a ways off from 45 tons. And because they had been so grossly underfed, they didn't grow at all. They just basically ate each other. The big ones ate the little ones. Now, tilapia are prolific breeders. But and they won't cannibalize their young if they're well fed. But if they're starving, like Mitch's were, the large will eat the small. and everything on that farm was starving. Well, except maybe the caretaker. So just as an example, 3 tons is the most he could have had there, because there's no natural feed in those ponds. Okay, there's not any bugs flying into them. It's not a biofloc system. It's just some holes in the ground with water at the natural water table and some fish thrown in it, and a couple scoops of feed once in a while. No way to raise any kind of fish, let alone fish that you were trying to raise for market. None of these fish had been sexed with a hormone to turn them all to male. So it probably with everything, no aeration, no filtration, nothing. Just a hole in the ground with some fish put in it. So honestly, the best that Mitch could hope for is like a 3-to-1 feed conversion. Just being generous. So 3 tons was the maximum that of fish you could add in there, Mitch. And I'll show you in the conversations that we had. I was trying to get Mitch to understand that it was just pie in the sky, the amount, him thinking, because he honestly believed that, well, yeah, I've got that many, based on the amount of fry that I put in there, that's how many fish there should be there now, adult fish, and that's how much they should weigh. Like it's some kind of magic. It's not magic. If you don't feed them, they don't grow. And if you really underfeed them, they eat each other. Genius. Just clueless from A to Z. And you know, towards the end of the video, it does get a bit sad because Mitch, maybe a little melodramatic, maybe a little OA, a little acting, who knows. But I do feel for the guy because his dream is gone. I mean, he's of an age probably where he can't make the kind of money that he needs to come back and make a go of that farm, and he's just too hard-headed. I mean, if he had the millions of pesos in his wallet right now that he could have gotten from letting someone take care of those mangoes for him, and we're talking millions of pesos that could be in his pocket in the last 7 years. But again, Mitch is just so hard-headed and ignorant that he just he didn't want a third of the net profit. He wanted half. It's just not done here, Mitch. Sorry. So instead of taking a third, he took 0, which is millions of pesos out of the wallet. And now, Mitch, what do you got? You got a farm that is maybe worth half of the 12 million you were asking for it, and that's pushing it. I would say closer to 4 million. Just because you might have 12 million into it doesn't mean you're going to get 12 million out of it. I mean, I'm guessing he put like 2 million into that barn that he made, the storage barn, to keep all his knickknacks in. But just because it costs 2 million to make doesn't mean it's worth someone else. It doesn't mean it's worth 2 million to someone else. The same thing with the piggery. Poorly designed, can't really be operated as a piggery. Another 2 million shot down the drain. So that's 4 million. The equipment, I don't know, is it gone? Is it there? I mean, in the video, I mean, it was kind of insinuated that everything's gone. The sheds and the shops have been broken into, and all the stuff has been stolen. His tractor's gone, his car is gone, his truck is gone. But in the video, all he said that he knew was missing was the batteries. Really? Okay, well, I don't know. Maybe it's there, maybe it's not. I could care less, and I'm not going to go over to check. But coming back and making a go of that, millions of pesos, and the willingness to learn, which Mitch doesn't have, because Mitch knows everything about everything, and doesn't ask for advice, and won't take it. Now, I've had the same accusations thrown at me, but, you know, when I don't take someone's advice, that's probably because I can't afford to take someone's advice. Now, you should go out and buy a new Toyota pickup and quit messing with that multi-cab you got. Oh, well, sure, I'd love to go buy a new Toyota pickup, but I don't have a couple million pesos to go buy one. The hundreds of things that people have suggested that I do, I sure I'd love to do them all, but there's no money for it. Now, Mitch, on the other hand, had money and plenty of time to do research. I mean, this is an 8-year ongoing train wreck, but he never did any of that, and that's why he's in the position that he's in. I kind of feel bad for the guy because his dream is gone, but you know what, Mitch? You did it to yourself. And honestly, the last stupidest thing you did was to alienate me, because I was the only person here in this community here who gave a crap one way or another. And then you crapped on me in return for trying to help you. So you are where you are, Mitch, and good riddance. I don't want your farm. I don't want anything on your farm. I did my best and washed my hands of it. Now, I don't know what the runtime is on this video, so if there's no ending on it, then there's no ending on it. And there won't be any beginning on the next video. But I'm going to go through Mitch and I's conversation, all of it. And this might take some time because I'm going to read line for line our messenger chat, because that's how we communicated. It says I'm out of data. Well, that's nothing new there. I'll just go on the Wi-Fi and hope for the best. Let's see if I gotta. Let's see. I don't think I need this. I might edit this part out. Me being phone challenged, but I'm going to try to pull up a conversation with Mitch here. And under his messenger, it's my Korea Danu, whatever it is. And this is going to take so long that I am going to make a separate video of our conversation. So I'm gonna end this one up here. If you guys want a good laugh, go watch the video. I invite you to. I could care less if anybody watches GD Mead's channel. It doesn't bother me a bit. Get 10,000 views. It's just comedy. So, you know, I know this is already a long video, but I wanted to add this little bit on here to the end. You know, Mitch did say that he had worked hard with a lot of sweat on his farm, and he did. But working hard is not always the best. You got to work smart. And again, Mitch just didn't work smart. Yeah, he did a lot of work on his farm, but didn't have his brain engaged first. And one of the things that was mentioned in this video as well was that I had stolen his tilapia babies, and that's also going to be in the conversation, that video that I'm going to make right after this one. You know, Mitch, if you'd just taken 20 or 30 minutes and watched the, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 videos that I had made of me and Nerio and Tatai harvesting the tilapia fry and fingerlings out of my pond and putting in the Azola pits, maybe you wouldn't have made that accusation. Maybe you would have, because you're kind of a nut job anyway. But you know, I didn't need your tilapia. I really had in that 9 months you were gone, we had no contact, and I hadn't been over to your farm. I didn't even know you had any tilapia. So just accusing me of stealing your things and somehow conspiring to make you fail, maybe it wasn't poison that someone was giving you. Maybe it was some kind of a mind-altering drug that has permanent and lasting effects. Maybe that was it. I don't know. But you're just, other than the comedy value of the video that you guys made, it was sad as well. And I'm going to leave that there. Thank you, everyone. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe.